This episode is for the writer who has what novelist Ann Lamott has coined the shitty first draft. You have written thousands and thousands of words, and truth be told, it's not that great, which kind of breaks your heart a little bit. But when you're honest with yourself, you know that what you've written has promise, but it's just not there and you can't figure out how to bridge the gap. But what do you actually do with a shitty first draft? And that's what I want to talk about today. So let's get into it. Every single writer's first draft is going to be garbage. And I know that sounds harsh, but I do hope that you can see the silver lining in this truth. I'm also speaking as a writer who has written countless shitty first drafts in the writing that I've done over my whole life. The first draft is never good. It's never good. So if you're frustrated with your first draft, you are in very good company because every author has first, second, third drafts that are not great and that are going to need substantive revisions. So what we want to talk about now is what to do with that shitty draft to make it a little less messy. How do we take all of that chaos and turn it into something meaningful? That's what I want to break down today. So if you're staring at a draft wondering, how do I even begin to revise this episode is for you. And let me make it clear, you are in very good company if you are frustrated with a first draft. Every writer in the world has shitty first drafts, and every writer that I've worked with has brought me a draft that, even when it's been revised a lot, is still messy. So messy drafts are inevitable. They are, especially a first draft. It is your dumping ground for ideas, stories, and raw emotion. So the key isn't avoiding the mess, it's knowing how to work with it. The biggest issue that I see is that writers dive into revisions without a strategy, without a clear plan, which is going to lead to inevitable frustration and ultimately wasted time. Almost every writer that I've worked with, they come to me and they have questions, very valid questions, I might add, about the structure of their memoir, about the flow, about making sure that they are telling the narrative right. They are really focused on the structure. So they think, okay, I have all the material here in my head, and now I need to make sure that I'm structuring it correctly, that I'm structuring it in an engaging way. The writers I work with always come to me with some iteration of that concern. That's what's on the brain, is how do I structure this? How do I work with all of this writing? But so many times, and again, I don't say this in any kind of judgment because it happens all the time. I say it because I want to highlight elements of the memoir writing process that you might be missing. So many of us do not think to ask the question, what am I trying to say? So you have your story. What story am I trying to tell? And you might be pretty clear on that because it's your life, right? That's what memoir is. But what are you trying to say with it? Like, you need to ask yourself, so what? So you have this big draft, you've poured out everything. It's a little messy, but you may not have answered the question. And it's the biggest question. What am I actually trying to say with my memoir? What is the point of this story? I know that phrasing can be a little jarring, but it's a reframe that's going to pull you out of your own head and get you into a strategic mindset when it comes to your writing. So what is the point of your story? Why is it going to matter to your reader? Those are all questions that you have to be able to answer. Because if you don't know this, revising and rewriting, it's going to feel like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Pointless. Everything's going to stay messy. If you cannot answer the question, what's the point? What am I trying to say? So almost every client that I've worked with comes to me stuck in revisions. I don't have very many writers come to me without anything written. Most writers come to me with a first draft, second, third, fourth draft. they're seeking me out because they know that they're missing something, but they just don't know what that is. They know that something doesn't feel right. They're frustrated. And so I'm really familiar with working with writers starting on draft 2 or 3, something that they've worked on a lot already. They've already poured a lot of time into this. They've already poured maybe a lot of money into it. But something isn't clicking and they don't know what it is. So they keep moving scenes around, but they don't know their end game. And so once we clarify that message, once we know what the end game is, what we want the reader to experience and feel and take away from your story, then the revisions are going to have a purpose. And the entire process is going to become smoother. It's going to become faster. That message, that's what's going to anchor the entire process. It's what's going to take everything looking fuzzy, and you're just trying to read through all of this confusing thousands and thousands of words that you're just starting to feel crushed under the weight of what you've already written. But pulling in an editorial strategy, that is where things start to become clear. That is where you start to see a path open up for you to interact with your manuscript, with your memoir in a very intentional and strategic way. Yes, writing is creative. Creative nonfiction is a very distinct way of using your creative brain, using that right-brained way of creating art. But to write smarter, not harder, I don't think any of us want to be writing harder. We want to be writing smarter. For us to do that, we have to have an editorial strategy. We have to know, we have to be aware of our blind spots so that we can actually know how to tackle them, right? This is exactly why I created what I'm calling the Memoir Strategy Collection. It's a set of 4 mini masterclasses, all 40 minutes. And this is designed to help you uncover those blind spots that are keeping you stuck. The blind spots that you don't know. You can't start to fix something or address it if you don't even know it's a problem. And so many writers come to me with problems they don't even know exist. So how could they have known how to fix it? How could they have known that they needed to devote energy into figuring out the point of their story over writing it, right? So these mini masterclasses within the Memoir Strategy Collection, I'm here to help you write smarter, not harder. I'm here to show you your blind spots. And honestly, one of these masterclasses focuses entirely on clarifying your message so that you know exactly how to approach your revisions. I don't want you to be wasting your time. You don't want to be wasting your time. The content inside these mini masterclasses in the Memoir Strategy Collection, like this is going to be a before and after moment for you. You're going to be able to realize, oh, this is what I'm missing. This is the perspective that I've been missing in my writing. I want you to learn how to think like an editor, because doing so is going to help you know what story or what message your story is here to communicate. Your story is just a vehicle for the message. And your reader, you need to give your reader a reason to care, because you are not enough of a reason. And I say that with so much love and compassion. But when you have a writer who is focusing on themselves as they write, you're not going to have a manuscript that is compelling. You're not going to have a manuscript that's going to keep a reader reading. You're just not. And so what we need to learn, and I don't see this enough in the editorial space online, I want to teach you how to think like me so that you can really engage in your manuscript in a very strategic, intentional way that is catered to you and your process. So you start with the Memoir Strategy Collection. That's where we start. I'll link to it in the show notes. It includes 4 mini masterclasses. We have Find the Focus. We have Memoir Clarity. We have Thinking Like an Author and Hooked from Page 1. All of these are detailed in the link in the show notes for you, because I use these mini masterclasses to come at common blind spots from different angles. These are perspectives and mindsets that you can put into your tool belt that will help you shift how you interact with your memoir, because that's what we need. I don't need you to write more. I don't need you to rewrite. Not yet. First, we need to get you thinking strategically so that you know how to revise, so that you know how to come at your writing in a way that is actually going to refine that manuscript and pull it forward in the publishing and editing process. So everything you need is in the show notes. You can also find this episode on YouTube. I am so excited to hear what your takeaways are from these mini masterclasses from the Memoir Strategy Collection. Everyone's going to have different insights into how this is going to benefit their story and their manuscript. So please message me and let me know what breakthroughs that you've had, because I love hearing about your wins. They are my very, very favorite thing. So thank you so much for joining me today, and have a wonderful weekend. And I'm going to see you next Tuesday.